fans, it's time for the Cuse Nation podcast with Sean and Joe. Give us a like on Facebook at facebook.com/Cuse Nation podcast.
All right, what's up, Cuse Nation? Welcome to episode 37 of the Cuse Nation podcast with Sean and Joe. We can be found on iTunes, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Google Play Music, and now on YouTube. And again, I'm Sean alongside my buddy Joe. Joe, what's up, man?
Hey, Sean, what's going on?
Not a whole lot. So we've got the FSU postgame. We're going to go ahead and throw in the Wake Forest pregame and even talk about a little bit of basketball. We'll try to keep it short and punchy and just hit the bullet points on it all. But first, Joe, let me ask you something. What do you say? Yeah. What do you say to people like me who've been banging the pots and pans on Syracuse getting this win at FSU, and then coming away again 4-5, struggling now. Bowl odds are way down again now. Some people are predicting no bowl at all. We had, what was it? We're up to 50 out of 78 teams clinched. Florida Atlantic, Iowa, West Virginia, Houston, Virginia, UAB, North Texas, Northwestern, Wyoming, Florida International, and Fresno all clinched this past weekend. And with 3 games left, they're saying a 5-7 record is probably not going to get us there because there's currently, I want to say it's 70 teams with looking at a 5-6, 71 teams currently with at least 5 wins.
Yeah.
So, and 17 teams with 4 wins. So kind of needed that game. We haven't been able to win on the road yet. Kind of reminds me of SU basketball last year. It's like the black cloud hasn't left. Syracuse sports. What do you say, Joe? What do you say? Words of encouragement, because you're always that guy. Usually.
Well,
usually.
I think a lot of it comes with perspective, You just got to be able to look at what happened. The only turnover or type of thing that happened that was close to a turnover was that muff punt right before the end of the first half, and we came out with no points. And I know that there's a lot of people that are going to point to that and say we should have kicked the field goal. In hindsight, that looked like maybe the right, plan. But like what Baber said, you got to score touchdowns to beat teams like that, especially on the road. And I think a lot of it came down to the fact where if we had a healthy Dungy then the whole game, then I think that we wouldn't have had to worry about it. But we had opportunities, and so just like all the other games that we've lost on the road this year, and the one at home against Middle Tennessee State, is we just haven't been able to take advantage of opportunities and too many missed opportunities and mistakes. So it's definitely frustrating, but it's better than going and getting blown out and definitely outplayed, because, again, that it just wasn't the case.
With Dungy only playing 3 out of the 4 quarters, really. I know he did throw that interception. But, I mean, when you look back on it, going down by 14 quick as we did, he got us back in the game just as quick when he came back. So, yeah. Without that, I mean, you're looking at a whole nother ball game, because it was like letting the air out of a balloon on both sides of the ball. And like you mentioned earlier, the defense is watching him walk in the locker room. Their head's not totally in the game, and I know that's not very professional, but you can't blame them on one hand, and on the other hand, it's deflating. Like I said, it's like taking the air out of a balloon. And they just, when he came back, both sides of the ball, they both played dramatically better. I mean, yeah, it was night and day. So
no, that's what happens when you have a team like this, when you're still trying to rebuild, and you don't got a lot of experience or older players. You got a lot of youth, and when you're playing against teams like we played on our schedule and the teams we play against in our conference every year, there's teams that just have the ability. They might not have, the will or the want, or they might not execute and keep drives alive. Teams like LSU and Florida State this year, I thought watching the game that we were the better team throughout the game. It's just we made mistakes and didn't take advantage of opportunities, and those teams are just eventually it's the talent will break through. If you can't take advantage of that and put the other team on, the overall supposed better team, more talented team on their heels and put some pressure on their game, then it's very difficult to beat them because they're going to have the big plays. Florida State had 3 touchdowns at over 50 or 60 yards.
Exactly.
So eventually the talent's going to break through and make a play. So that's why you have to keep the pressure on them.
It's not like they were dinking and dunking us and driving hard and wearing us out.
No, they weren't.
Yeah. What about Joe? Now, I mean, hindsight being 2020, we could play armchair quarterback, but that's kind of the point of a sports show. Yeah. You play armchair quarterback. Without that, you don't really have a show. So there was 2 things that stuck out to me that were crucial, and one of them, of course, is the not going for the field goal and getting the 3 points right before the half and going for it on, like, what was it, 4th and 6 or something like that? It was 4th and goal, but they were on like the 6-yard line. So I would have just taken those points. Now if they score a touchdown there, it's genius, right? And it's the greatest call of the game, right? So it's easy to play, either side of that. But before, when they came out to line up to run the play, I was like, man, take the 3 points. You're in a close game. Take the 3 points, and they didn't. And then the other one, you and I discussed earlier, and you played devil's advocate with it, which was, you made a great point, was the onside kick. With all the time left on the clock. But, you were going to have, like you said, you were going to have to stop them. They could have worn the clock out, and I guess it was no harm, no foul on that. But the field goal before the half, I think, should have been kicked. It's just a poor decision. And again, looking back, that was the 3 points because Cole Murphy, who was stout against Clemson, laying goose eggs.
Again, that's just, in hindsight, it's easy to say. I think with the onside kick, like I was telling you, if they get 1 or 2 first downs, then pretty much the game's over anyway. So instead of kicking it deep, they just decided to take an extra chance, if you will, to try to get, make a play, get an onside kick. And if it doesn't happen, you still got to stop them 3 and out anyway, use your timeouts and get the ball. So the only way that would have been off, is not taking the chance, kicking it deep and hoping that, the returner doesn't make a play. And then you still stop them 3 and out, and then you just get a little bit better field position. So he kind of played the field position game for the chance to try to get a turnover and get a play. And either way, this time around, it was no harm, no foul. But again,
and we almost had that late turnover too. Yeah,
but anything could happen to where, you kick it off and the returner that's got, just like those type of teams, they have athletes back there that, that we can't stack up. So who's to say we don't kick it off and the guy returns it for a touchdown, then that would have been stupid. So, everyone, it's easy to judge after the fact. And as far as the field goal goes, at that point in time, they were trying to play to win it. I looked at it like they were used to being down anyway. So what's down 7, just come out and make a stop like they did. It was just showing confidence in them and showing that they were playing to win. And it's easily, in hindsight, it's easy to say, oh, we should have taken the points. But, at the end of the day, we were playing to win, and we still had a chance at the end to tie and go to overtime. And you're not thinking about, are we going to have to kick a game-tying field goal from 40-plus yards when you're going for it in the first half. Some people just think that just take the points when you're on the road in the first half. Just take what you can get.
I think that's me. So it's a safe way to play. I know Dino Babers is a little controversial in that aspect. He
takes chances. He plays to win.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And I understand that, and I love that. When it works, like I said, he's a genius. Or that was the best call ever. But
that's the case in all coaches' decisions.
I know. But that's what we you have to look at it. We have to talk about it. So, but you're right. Yeah. I get it.
I think overall, Dungy getting hurt and having to sit out that long, and then obviously, he did make plays, but you could tell that there were some things he still couldn't do when he came back. So again, he played like a warrior, and
again,
and you can't blame it on him, but just availability, is really they say that's the best ability in football is availability. It doesn't matter how good you are, you got to be able to go out and play and stay healthy. So that's been his bugaboo his whole career, and hopefully he'll be good to go come Wake Forest next week. But again, I think that was the biggest thing. I think if he plays the whole game, then even if he plays that quarter the way that he was playing the rest of the game, whatever percentage he was, 75, 70, whatever he was, him playing that quarter gimpy was better than what we were going to do with Mahoney out there. So
I agree. If he plays the whole game, if he doesn't go out, if he doesn't get injured, we win that game. I mean, it's easy for me to sit here and say that right now, but I really do think that because that was a really long, tough quarter to watch of football. So,
it was.
On the bright side, there were some records broken. We had Irv Phillips with his, 200 and what did he end up with for career? Most career receptions for a wide.
I think he's got 207 or something right now.
Okay, 206, 207. And Dungy with the most rushing touchdowns by a quarterback, 20, edging out over McNabb with 19. And also, Dungy had 109 yards rushing on that gimp ankle, at an average of 5 with a TD and a 30 for his longest one was 30 yards. I mean, it was so funny watching him because when he's running, you're like, oh, he's healthy, and then he'd get tackled or whatever, and he'd get up and he'd limp back to the line. It's like just the adrenaline, that's all he was going off of. It was the same thing with Miami. During the play he was fine. After the play, you're peeling him up off the field. Yeah,
it looks kind of the same, Yeah. And now we go into the next game thinking kind of exactly what I was hoping not going to happen when we talked about after we beat Clemson about the long wait and where the SU fans were going to be. Remember that when we talked about that? And
yes.
Yeah. So I mean, it's been by the time we play Wake Forest, it'll be almost a month since we beat Clemson, and it'll be a month since we were at the Dome.
Yeah.
And we've lost since then. So we've gone from 4-3 to 4-5. And, it's just going to be interesting to see how the fans come out and support the team,
I think it's a Saturday afternoon game again, right? It's 12:30?
Saturday at 3.
Or at 3, okay. Well, that's the ideal time, in my opinion. Right at 3 o'clock, get out of there.
Yeah.
6, 7 o'clock, you still got the night, and then you get the morning. I don't think it's going to be terrible. I don't think it's going to be like Clemson was. I don't think.
No. I mean, you'd like to think that because of Clemson, Clemson could have been bigger, but because we beat Clemson, there's a lot of fans that if you would have said before the game, "Hey, Clemson's going to win," then maybe I would have gone to the game, So after the fact, but the fact that we went to Miami, lost, then a bye week, then went to Florida State and lost, albeit close games, but it just back to the same old 4-5 and. Are they even going to get a bowl game? And, and I just think that we have a good opportunity to still. So there's really no reason why. It would have been great to get one of those big wins, and I think that would really help with the fans and attendance for the game this Saturday. But I just have a bad feeling about what these past 3 weeks have left in the fans' mouths of anybody that was jumping on the bandwagon once we beat Clemson. It's kind of calmed down, and I just hope that they can come and show out because we do have a chance to win the last 3 games. So,
well, I agree with you 100% on that. But Wake Forest is no pushover football team, scoring 37 points on a spectacular Notre Dame football team. That was at Notre Dame too, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and 37 points. We won't. Our defense better be ready because we're not scoring. We're not scoring more than that. I don't see it.
Well, no, but that was also a game. I mean, they were losing that game 31-10 at halftime. So I'm not so sure.
Pulling back a little bit, kind of burning clock.
They outscored them by 10. I think it was 27-17 in the second half, and that's why it got up to where it was. But I don't think that was really ever a close game or competitive game. You know what I mean? I think it was just a situation where, like you said, kind of pulling back and
just the final score doesn't represent the actual fluidity of the game. It was a beating. There's no doubt about it. But they did put up 37 points. But like you said, I have to agree with you that
I mean, 41 to 23 going into the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
So.
Well, now we've got a couple key injuries, and Eric Dungey was taped up. Wake Forest, they had their best wide receiver. He's out for the season, and we don't have any word on Dungey, but Syracuse is still going into this game against Wake Forest with a 3.5 point favorite as of yesterday. It changes, I guess every day probably.
Yeah, it's actually down to 0.
Is
so
it?
It's pretty much a pick 'em.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, it's going to be a tough game. It's not going to be no gimme. And like you said, I hope people show up. I really feel like that was a huge, huge help to Syracuse over Clemson. It's always a huge help, no matter who they're playing, football or basketball. So,
yeah.
What are we looking for? What do we got to do to beat the Demon Deacons?
I think it's going to come down to basically big plays and, again, just opportunities and stuff like that. Wake Forest, to me, is very similar to us, actually. They're a little bit more experienced, and Clausen, Dave Clausen, the coach, he's been there long enough to where he's coaching with all his guys. He's got his roster, his recruits, and they're actually, like you said, they've turned into an actually competitive team. They're 5-4, one game away from a bowl game. But looking at their roster, their schedule, they've kind of been the same, same as we are, really. I mean, they started off 4-0. They beat Boston College by 14, second game of the season, but Boston College has gotten, better since then. But, they lost to Florida State at home by 7, lost at Clemson by 14, lost at Georgia Tech by 14. Then they go and they beat Louisville at home by 10, and then they had their game last week against Notre Dame. So they're pretty much winning and losing against, just really good teams in the ACC, and they look like they've been pretty competitive and pretty close. So, again, I think it's just which team's, a little less beat up, which team doesn't make the mistakes. Very similar as far as offense and yardage and point output and how many points allowed. I think they average like 31 points a game, work somewhere around like 29, 30, something like that. Defense, we both average 24 to 25 points a game. So it looks like we're a little bit better at the run as far as stopping the run on defense. But other than that, there's really no big discrepancies as far as the teams. So it's going to be another one of those just nail biter, who wants it more. And hopefully we don't give up as big plays. And I think that's really the biggest thing is try to win the turnover battle and just don't give up big plays. And I think we should be able to beat them. Yeah,
grudge match. Another grudge match. Syracuse, they were really close to being number one on defense for third down defense.
Now.
They are. They are first. Okay, first in the nation third down defense. I mean, that's spectacular. I mean,
I think we held
1 for 10.
I think 1 and 13 this week.
1 and 13. So. Yeah, I mean it was only 1. Yeah, so 1 to 13. Yeah, third down efficiency 1 to 13. And we had, listen to this. We had 11 for 25. I mean, it doesn't. I mean, the numbers are high, but can you believe 25 third downs? That's crazy.
Yeah. Because we moved the ball and we try to control the clock.
Yeah.
And that's another thing that I guess, like I said, we're going to have to do with Wake Forest. They're not known as like a very, explosive offense. Obviously, this year they've been putting up better numbers, but they got a pretty good run game, a senior quarterback that can nickel and dime you to death. But like you said, they're number one. There was a freshman receiver, but he was he was the one making the big plays, and he's out for the season, or at least for the foreseeable future. And
Dortch?
Dortch, yep. And then their tight end there that's had pretty good games against us in the past. Pretty good pass catching tight end. He is looking like he's going to be out as well, along with another starter on defense who got banged up. So it looks like they got a little banged up in the Notre Dame game. And again, like I just hope we can get some redemption of that Hurricane game last year, because obviously that was kind of a pathetic game. So I don't know if you remember that last year, but as when we played down here at Wake Forest, the week that there was supposed to be a hurricane, and it was just awful weather, just really wet and not very good as far as the way that we wanted to play our offense. Not a very conducive environment to that.
That was like the Miami game this year was terrible. I mean,
last year's was way worse. It was just
really?
rain, wind. It was a pretty ugly game. But I mean, on the plus side, we are 3-0 at the Dome against Wake Forest since we've joined the ACC. So we have that in our back pocket. So, but I know that they probably want to get some revenge on the game last year, because the all game last year we just couldn't get it together because you can't run our offense in that kind of weather.
We've got this is a must-win game heading into. I mean, if you're looking at it from a bowl standpoint or perspective, it's a must-win because going into Louisville on the 18th, and then you got Boston College back at home. I mean, you got to win at least. You got to win the 2 out of those 3. You know, they're for their bowl percentage is 51%. They lose another game, it's going to be. I mean, who knows? Probably 15.
Yeah,
which they were already at once this year, and they went all the way up to 70 something after Clemson, and now they've just been slowly getting chopped back. But it's a must-win game, so it's a huge game. And we still haven't heard a definitive prognosis on Dungey. So
no, I mean, I know. In Baber's afternoon press conference, pregame press conference today for Wake Forest, he said that he expects him to play, but that he's most likely going to sit out a majority of the practices this week. And I think they're going to prepare some other quarterbacks to be ready. But just with Dungey being able to stay off of it and everything, he thinks he should be able to play. Although he did say, though, that they are still waiting on final results of certain tests and stuff like that. So I would say that it's definitely up in the air. I think right now, until they hear a final, like you said, prognosis from the doctors, I think it's going to be basically just assumed that since he played last week on it, that he's going to be able to rough it out this week too. So, but that could change.
Right. So, all right. Well, moving on to let's hit up some Syracuse basketball. Tonight we've got Southern Connecticut State, another exhibition before we go in to play Cornell on Friday. We had the other exhibition game the other day where I thought we talked about this on a podcast, but I guess not. We didn't talk about that at all on the podcast?
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, it must have been a phone conversation then with Brissett just lighting it up. I was so impressed with him. I was so happy to see him doing good because his highlight reel was so awesome. And, a highlight reel is a highlight reel. But to see him in action, I mean, he was great. And I know, we're playing a D2 team, but, I mean, it's still college basketball. So we got another exhibition game tonight. And that's going to be on ESPN 3. I'm sure you can find it on there at 7 o'clock. Although that's the worst streaming service, you'll still be able to get it and watch it.
Be prepared for technical difficulties.
Yeah, which is disappointing, but you'd think they'd have it figured out. Anything else streams just beautifully. Netflix, Amazon, all those things. I know they're streaming services, but I mean, come on, ESPN, let's get it together. Yeah. So, because for us, Joe, the first few basketball games are all going to be streamed. The Cornell game coming up Friday, 7 o'clock, I believe, too, as well.
Yeah, so, majority, 7 o'clock on Friday. Majority of the beginning of the games, I mean, definitely aren't played down in North Carolina, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, they're not played in Virginia Beach either. So, anyway, I mean, what was your, I mean, granted, it kind of a gimme game, exhibition game, against Southern New Hampshire. Now we're playing Southern Connecticut.
Something like yeah.
So, given the fact that it's a D2 team and kind of whatever, I mean, how do you think they looked?
They started off slow and they needed to jump into that full court press to start opening it up and starting to gain some confidence. And I think that's really all it took.
Yeah.
It was just one of those things. It was confidence. You get the first game jitters, especially a lot of new faces out there never playing.
Right.
And there wasn't a lot of people out there, so I'm sure they're going to experience that again. Come even Cornell, first game of the season. I'm sure there's going to be 10 times as many people that go to an exhibition game. But
5,000 for Southern New Hampshire.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was the most Southern New Hampshire's ever played in front of, though.
Oh God, of course. No, but I was impressed. The D2 school isn't going to have, the athleticism and size that we're going to have. So you got to take advantage of, the weaknesses in basketball to win games. So, but obviously in an exhibition against an opponent like that, the weaknesses are pretty glaring. So, but I mean, in the beginning, it looked a little tough. Their half-court offense trying to figure out, other than what Ty's battle and Frank Howard. But even Frank made some mistakes. So it took a little while to get going, and you can't take too much out of an exhibition game. But hope to see a little bit more. There was a crazy block party, that's for sure. We had like 18 blocks. But,
yeah, it was awesome. I mean, Sadib and Chukwa, Chukwa too. But Brissett had what?
I think 17 points, 11 rebounds, something like that.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, again, like I said, it's just our height against their tallest player was like 6'8" or something. So, just I look at exhibitions to just get a good look at new players, new faces and stuff. And but there's definitely going to be times where we're going to have problems scoring against, good competition and stuff. So we definitely have a lot of growth we need to do, but definitely like some of the new stuff, new players anyway that were there on the court. So tonight's another night to just take a little look before Cornell.
It's hard to even evaluate it really, but it's fun to watch. It's that time of year where you get to watch Syracuse basketball, which is by far lately, the past couple decades at least, the most popular Syracuse sport, obviously. So I mean, and we've got a real opportunity this year to just surprise a bunch of people. And I think we got the talent. It's just a matter of cohesiveness. You know what I mean?
Yeah, cohesiveness and growing up, figuring it out.
It just took so long last year with the grad transfers and stuff. It's not like they were bad players. They just didn't get it right away. It didn't click right away.
And it's starting again this year too with Geno Thorpe because he didn't play because of an ankle. I don't know. And the post-game conference, it almost seemed like Jim Boeheim was almost a little frustrated about it. I don't know if something had happened, like, if he had I don't know. It's just the way that he was reacting. It didn't seem like he was very happy about it. And hopefully we can see Geno Thorpe here soon because, like you said, as a graduate senior, he's going to have to – he's already trained. He's 4 years trained into a college system, so he's going to have to unlearn some things, and there's going to be some learning curves and some lessons that he's going to have to be taught in game, just like there was Gillen and White. So, but hopefully he can return and we can see what he can do and just grow and try to get better, because that's all we can really hope for. This isn't going to be a team that comes out in the beginning and blows the socks off of teams or surprises anybody early. So there's a team that's going to have to grow and hopefully get enough wins to make the tournament. So,
yeah, all right. Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens tonight and Friday. Remember?
Yeah. Fun fact for Cornell too. Here's a fun fact.
All right, let's hear it, Joe.
No, it's not really. I mean,
come on.
Jim Boeheim's got another son, Jimmy Boeheim. He's actually a freshman. He's a freshman at Cornell. So this Friday, Jim Boeheim will be coaching against his son's team, Cornell.
Oh, that'll be interesting. And I actually didn't even know that.
Jim Boeheim versus Jimmy Boeheim.
Yeah. Well, hey. I guess he stayed in town at least.
Yeah.
So I guess Buddy's the superior of the two then, right?
No, don't say that too loud. Not around Jimmy.
I'm kidding. So all right, Friday game, Cornell, 7:00. We're gonna try to record that night after the game. It should be fun, and we'll record that. Then we got the football game on Saturday at 3:00. We'll be back probably around this time again next week to do that. So. That's it for episode 37. Remember, if you go to facebook.com/Cuse Nation podcast, thumb us up there on Facebook. That's it. That's all I got, Joe. Any final thoughts?
No, Sean, I am good.
All right, bro. Well, for Joe, I am Sean. Cuse Nation, we're out.
Peace.
You just heard the Cuse Nation podcast with Sean and Joe.